What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Today is a beautiful day. Gonna recommend a movie here. Come and see. Check it out. Go to Wikipedia, put in "Come and See," and this is a movie that is intense, very intense. If you're not into intense movies, go watch Star Wars. Come and See. Trust me, good movie. Have some coffee here, Starbucks. Good stuff. I got a snack. Cheese croissant. Danish. Cheese Danish, not croissant. Same thing. Right now it's just really nice out. Slight breeze. East to west. Almost 2 miles an hour. Almost. Have some soap here. This is soap from France. Very olive oilish. Not bad. Reminds me of soap my grandmother used to use. My grandmother would use green soap. And if she would buy a ton of flour, meaning baking flour, she would take a bar of the green soap and put it in the top area of the bag of flour and roll it up and leave it. And she would claim that the flour would last a lot longer. Apparently, bugs, moths, I don't know, different bugs, they're attracted to flour, and they'll go in there and start eating it. But if you have the green soap, it doesn't happen. So this is similar, smells similar. 300 grams. 72% de humil. I don't know what that is. Any French speaking people out there, you can translate that for me. And since 1857, long time. You know, I like soap that lathers up, like immediately. You put it on, boom, boom, you get a ton of lather. You know, a few times I bought shampoo and I came home all excited. I got new shampoo, and I went to wash my hair with it, and it wouldn't lather up at all. I was not a fan of that. And then I went and I found the ad that says this soap does not lather up, but it's not the lather that cleans your hair. But I prefer that it lathers up. You know, I mean, you put it in there and nothing's happening. It feels like it's a dud. So I like lathering soap. And the thing is that they say that the stuff that causes soap to lather up, it's a little bit damaging to your skin. I mean, how damaging can it be? I don't know. Ivory soap has it. And I remember those commercials from the 70s where the women had nice skin and they would brag about it. My favorite Ivory commercial is the one where two women and a guy, and one of the women are going back where they came from. The guy and the wife, I don't know, drops her off at the train station, and I don't know if she gives him a little kiss or a little hug there, and the wife, a little bit jealous, a common trait. And she says, I saw the way you were looking at whatever her name was, Jan, I don't know. And then they start talking about, you know, her skin. And he's like, I like your skin. Your skin's healthy. And she's like, do you know why? And he's like, why what? And she's like, why my skin looks like, you know. And he's like, yeah, why? And she's like, I wash with ivory. And nobody has these conversations. You're out with your wife. Maybe it's his girlfriend. Or maybe he just met her. Nobody says, oh, you got nice skin. And she says, you know why? I wash with ivory. Yeah, growing up, ivory. My parents never, ever, ever bought a different kind of soap. It was always ivory. I would experiment. I would get, you know, they got ivory, so I wouldn't get ivory. But I would get Irish Spring. That was one of my favorites. I like the commercials. I like the guy with the knife. He would cut a piece of Irish Spring soap, and it looked the same way all the way through. Guy on a horse had a Irish wool shirt or a wool sweater, and had that little whistle thing. I think the same guy that wrote or did the theme for Sesame Street came up with that. You know that same guy, and that's the same guy that plays harmonica on "Leave a Tender Moment Alone" from the An Innocent Man album. Came out in 1983. Billy Joel. Yeah, love that tune. When that tune first came out, my mother had a big Mercury Brougham. 1974, huge car, heavy. Well, it was like cast iron heavy, and it had a 429 engine. You get inside, it was like you were in a hotel room. So I went and I bought that album, and I had it in the car, and I was playing it. I had it nice and loud, play the music loud so you could feel it. And at that moment, I noticed there was a button underneath the dashboard, and I said to myself, what is that? And I pulled the button, and it amplified the sound like to twice the volume level. Never knew we had that. And that was the song I played it on. So yeah, like that song, has a good feel to it. Yeah, you don't really think of that song when you think of Billy Joel these days, but when the An Innocent Man came out, I remember they released that, and I thought it was a pretty good tune. That was a good album all around. You know, it had a lot of good tunes on it. At one point, I had heard all the songs that they had released, and I said, yeah, there's no more on this. That's it, they're done. I like the song This Night. One of my favorite songs on that album. Great vocals. If you get a chance, listen to that song from beginning to end. Billy Joel has some great vocals on the song This Night, and it's a beautiful song. It makes you feel like you're actually in love with somebody at that moment, listening to that song. But I didn't think that song was commercial sounding enough for 1984. I know the album came out in 83, but this was 84, around there, and it just didn't have that commercial sounding quality to it. But if it was 1957, that would have been released, it would have been a hit. So I turn on MTV one day, and they go premiere video, Billy Joel, and I said, wow, what's going on here? And they said, new single by Billy Joel, Keeping the Faith. And I go, wow, I like that song, but I didn't realize that, you know, it was commercial sounding, you know? I mean, I guess it is now, because we've heard it a million times, but back then when the album came out, I thought that was a B-side song. I misjudged it. And it could have been, you know, it could have been if they didn't release it. But the album was so hot that they pretty much released everything on it. I think it had like seven singles off of it. Good album though, good album. But I really enjoy, even to this day, I will crank up This Night. This Night, good tune. But there's a few good ones. And funny thing about that album, there's a song on there. It's called Christy Lee. And when my daughter Isabella was little, like that big, I would recite that song, the lyrics to her, and she knew it, and then she would say it back to me. And before she would go to bed, I would whisper it at night to her. And I would say one line, then she would do the second line, then I'd do the third line, and we did the whole thing that way. So I kind of like the energy of that song. It's like, it sounds to me like a Jerry Lee Lewis song, that style. And I love Easy Money, great tune. Yeah, that was the album that I thought was Billy Joel's comeback album. I thought that, he released 52nd Street, and then I kind of didn't know anything about the other stuff. And I didn't know anything that came after that except for Allentown, because one time I was in my room, I used to listen to Casey Kasem all the time. Sundays, the Countdown, 1840. And I remember one time I was listening, and he said that after we come back from the break, we have a song, and he starts talking about the artist was a boxer, amateur boxer or whatever, and I go, I want to listen to see who that is. Turns out it was Billy Joel he was talking about, and the song that was being played at that time was Allentown. So I thought he had My Life, Allentown, and then I thought that was it, I thought he was a one-hit wonder for a long time with My Life. It wasn't until An Innocent Man came out that I really, really got into him, and I became one of the world's biggest fans. I'm like at the top 1% at the time for Billy Joel fans in the entire galaxy. So when I got the An Innocent Man album, I played that I don't know how many times. Like, there's probably grooves in my brain right now that resemble the grooves of the vinyl. Helicopter. That's a weird helicopter. It's all yellow, like the Yellow Submarine from the Beatles song, but it's a helicopter, all yellow. Anyway, yeah, I went and bought that album, An Innocent Man, and I played it so many times. And then I said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I'm going to buy all the other albums, but I'm going to buy one at a time. And then every 2 months I'm going to buy a new album, like as if he's releasing them now, brand new to me. So I went and I bought An Innocent Man. I already said that. And when I heard that album, I was under the impression that Billy Joel was a guy that wrote 50 songs, and occasionally he would write something that sounded contemporary and they would release it. But I thought all the other albums were the same thing. I thought that he was like a 50s guy. And then so I went and bought I think I got after that, like I probably got like Glass Houses, and I got into that one a lot. Glass Houses it's a fun album. It's a fun album, a lot of good songs on that. I really got into this song, I Don't Want to Be Alone Anymore. But all of them, Still Rock and Roll to Me is on that album. But that was a really good album. It was like just enjoyable. Had a little, harder edge to it. Guitars, You May Be Right was on there. Sleeping with the Television on. I love All for Lena. All for Lena. Man, I could feel that song. When you meet somebody and you have that crush, and then things go south, the bloom is off the rose, and you start feeling that it's like withdrawal, that heartbreak that they call it, withdrawing from this person. You feel it. It's like very difficult, especially if you were really into them. If you didn't really care that much, you're like, go back to your mother. But if you whatever that attraction is that makes us, mama's boy right there, that makes us want to be with somebody, well, sometimes that feeling is multiplied by 100, and you don't know what to do with yourself when you end up breaking up with somebody that you still have some kind of an emotional bond to. So when you hear that song, That's exactly what he's talking about. All for Lena. Love that tune. And Don't Ask Me Why, as he says, and towards the end, Don't Ask Me Why, another cool tune. Good piano solo in there. I love Close to the Borderline. I don't think they ever released that. Maybe they did. I love that tune. Hard edge, good drums on that. Through the Long Night. I love that song. Very slow, nice ballad. Good lyrics, good singing on that. What do we got there? Just a Fantasy. It's Just a Fantasy. We know what that's about. Good song. Sings it in a different way. Kind of like that. What am I missing here? That French song, It's Okay. It's okay, I don't mind it. He says he doesn't like it. You know, that Mauvais Voici song. That's not bad. I mean, I like it. Sleeping with the Television On, which I mentioned, is a good tune. But like I said, the song that I feel that really I can understand, All for Lena. All for Lena. And I know if there's people out there that have had experiences like that where they meet somebody and it's like, I don't want to say love at first sight, but it's that instant attraction. You know something's there. And then for whatever reason it doesn't work out. And maybe it never even went anywhere. Maybe you just met a person that, you know, you had a crush on. You know, early in school, you know, the early years, you get that crush. They call it puppy love. And then maybe the girl is going to a new school or she's moving out of state and you feel that emotional heartbreak. Yeah. That feeling is, it's very hard to get over. It could last a lifetime. Every time that person pops into your brain, you could feel that way. So, after that, I think I got 52nd Street. And 52nd Street is what started it for me. That was the album that I first heard, you know, My Life on, and I think Honesty I heard. But My Life I heard definitely. I remember hearing that, and I was really into that song. The whole, you know, musical side, the piano playing on that, I thought was great. Singing sounds great. And we had a radio show in the 5th grade. Everybody would team up. 3 people would team up, and every day was a new group of people for about 15 minutes. We pretended we had a radio show. It was part of our grade. And we would read the news, pick a few stories, read the news. The weather. I had a friend named Peter. He was into the weather. He would get up on the blackboard and write the weather out for us. And then you'd play a couple of tunes. And one of the albums that one kid brought in was the 52nd Street album. And I would look at it and I would say, that should say Billy Joel. Need an L back. I mean, should say Billy Joe, not Noel. Sorry. There it is again, the yellow helicopter. Anyway, I was thinking, you know, you drop the L like Letterman. Remember that from the electric company? He would, you know, fix the thing that the Spellbinder screwed up. You know, like Spellbinder would go to a Billy Joel concert and remove the L, and it would become Billy Joe, and all of a sudden it's like a country concert with rednecks singing. And then Letterman would show up with Joan Rivers narrating the whole thing, and then he would take an L off of his sweater, his football Letterman sweater, and then he would put it at the end of Billy Joel and get Billy Joel back again. They should have done something like that. But anyway, I would look at that. I would say it would sound much better, Billy Joe. I thought Billy Joel back then was a cool name because of Billy Joe McKay from BJ and the Bear. Think differently when you're a kid. Now I hear Billy Joe and I think it's like a guy with a banjo and missing teeth. It's just a stereotype. Not everybody who's Billy Joe has that look, right? But anyway, when I started getting the other albums, I realized that Billy Joel is not stuck in the 50s. That the Innocent Man album was a one-shot deal, one-time thing where he did the 50s style and that was it. And then I realized that he does a certain style for every album, and then he, you know, doesn't go back to that because he wants to experiment and keep it fresh. So that made me a little bit happier because I didn't want to hear the same old, you know, same old. And then I had a friend of mine who had the Nylon Curtain in a cassette, and I asked him if I could borrow it, and he said, sure. And so I went home and I played that, and I got into that a lot too. It had deeper sounding music, the lyrics were deeper, musically it was a little darker, said the F word on one of the songs. So I appreciated that album a lot. And I appreciated the fact that, you know, it was so hard to do and he pulled it off. It was like a Beatles sounding album. Then I started going into the old stuff. But I bought the Songs in the Attic album, which I love, one of my favorite live albums. And then I went into an album that's very obscure, very, I think it's underrated, and it's not well known. Street Life Serenade. Or is it Street Life Serenader? Street Life Serenade. I bought that album, and I don't know, I couldn't stop listening to it. You know, one of those things. It was never a hit. Had a few good songs on it, but for me it was golden. You know, I especially liked the Great Suburban Showdown. I played that song endlessly. Just loved everything about it. But there's a bunch of good songs. There's a couple instrumentals on there. Roberta is on there. Love Roberta. It reminds me of Raking Leaves, because when I would rake leaves, I would have that album playing, and for some reason that song sticks out as my Raking Leaves song. But Great Suburban Showdown, I just enjoy that song. And The Entertainer, I think, is on there, right? Yeah. And I've said this story before, but the cover is a really cool drawing of a building there. Got the cars there, and you're looking at it, it looks like it's like about 1974. And I was always wondering, I wonder if that's a real place. And if it is, it's probably in New York somewhere. And then I researched it, and I realized after doing the research that it's out here in California. So I went down and I found the building. It's a real place. Went inside. It's a bar. Looked around. I asked the waitress there if I could shoot video in there, and she said, as long as it's not for commercial purposes. I go, no, it's not. I'm not making money off of it. So, and she goes, go ahead. So they gave me the place to videotape in there. If you look up Fifth Avenue Bar, right? Fifth Avenue Bar, Fifth Street, Fifth Avenue. Mama's Boy. Anyway, if you look it up, you'll see I shot a video in there. Fifth Avenue Bar on my channel. So I sat in there, and the lady goes, what are you shooting a video for? And I told her, and then I said to her, you know, I'm going to educate you now. You know that the exterior of this building was used on a Billy Joel album cover. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, how do you not know that? Nobody mentioned to you, you're here a while, nobody said, hey, you know what this place is? So she didn't know that. And then when I finally did all that stuff, I went outside and I was taking a picture of the building. And some guy who looked like he was around 70 comes up to me and he goes, what are you taking pictures of? And I go, well, I'm taking a picture of what you see me taking a picture of the building. But he wanted to know why, one of those nosy guys in the neighborhood. And I said to him, this was on a Billy Joel cover, I'm just taking a picture. Oh, he goes, I know that. Yeah, he goes, they got all friendly after that. So, yeah. In case you're wondering where the building is, it's down in San Pedro. I don't know, I kind of like going down there once in a while. I will get in my car and end up in San Pedro. I like it. I like the atmosphere. I like the ships on the other side. I like the little, businesses there, little houses. I drive up and down the streets down there. So I'm a fan of San Pedro. And if anybody knows anything about San Pedro, they know that the Love Boat would pull into San Pedro, and that opening scene was shot there in San Pedro. The rest of it, of course, was shot in a studio, which I didn't know that. I thought when they shot the scenes, they were shooting them on the Love Boat as the thing was going to Mexico, Acapulco. I thought it was all done there. I thought they had a certain part of the ship where they would, use it for filming, and then they would say to the people, listen up, we're shooting a series, just ignore the cameras. You act natural. I thought those people were real passengers. I don't mean the actors that played the storyline. I'm talking about the background people. And then I realized, no, it's not. It's those are extras. They're in a studio. And sometimes you'll get an episode where it was shot on site, because you can tell, because you see the real sky. It's not a drawing or a painting. So anyway, that was an album that I enjoyed, Street Life Serenade album. And the song Street Life Serenade, the live version is much, much better. Like, really nice song. I love that song. So then we went to the Piano Man. I remember I listened to a lot about the Piano Man. I liked all the tunes on there. Captain Jack, Piano Man. Oh, not all of them. Out of all the Billy Joel songs that I have heard thousands of times, there is one song that I've only heard maybe a handful of times, maybe less than that, maybe 3 times. I literally remember only hearing it 2 times from beginning to end, but let's say it's a handful of times. It just never grew on me. No matter how many times I played Piano Man the album, I would always go over that song and start off at Piano Man. Traveling Prayer. I never liked it. Never liked it. Even to this day, if somebody puts that, that goofy song, I can't sit there and listen to it. Not a fan of it at all. And he doesn't do it live now. Maybe if he did it live now, it would sound better. But yeah, not a fan of that song, Traveling Prayer. But all the other ones, I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of those. Stop Over in Nevada. Which, funny thing, I saw him most recently in Las Vegas. Went to the concert, had nice seats close to him. Plus now they have huge monitors. So no matter where you are, you can still see him up there and see what he's doing. Well, when I was a kid and I would go, sometimes, you didn't have the money to get really good seats, and they would be that big on stage. Now, even if you're far back, they have these, 30 by 30 foot monitors up on top, and you could see the thing, perfectly. But anyway, he didn't play that song. You think he would have, Stop in Nevada. Didn't play it. I thought he was. I would have bet money on that. I would have said he's definitely playing that song, but he didn't. If I only had the words, another good tune. Really good tune. Captain Jack is on there, but he will not perform it live anymore. I think he's gotten tired of it. Maybe it's that line, that line. Maybe he's embarrassed to play it with that line. But yeah, I did that 2-month thing. I would buy an album every 2 months. So it was kind of like Billy Joel was releasing something new every 2 months for me for that period of time. Even Cold Spring Harbor I bought, and I got into that one too. I really enjoyed that. And then I got into the other ones from the Hassles and Attila. Got those, played those a lot. Eventually I ended up getting close enough to him, second row, and then we rushed the stage. and I had in my wool coat the album with my information inside, had my name in there, my phone number, and I took it as he was playing For the Longest Time, and I threw it up on stage, and I could see it in slow motion spinning. I wanted it to spin so it landed flat. I didn't want it to hit a corner and break. And it went right by him and landed next to him. And it was a good soft landing, so I knew it was not broken. And I said, now he's gonna pick it up and, you know, he's gonna make a comment about it or whatever, and then the next day he's gonna call me. So as he's doing his little thing there, he's tapping on it, he's stepping on it, and I'm like, don't step on it. That's a very rare, like a first edition one. So finally the song finishes, and somebody had also thrown roses at the same time I threw the album up. Roses landed on the piano. My album landed on the floor next to him. So the guy, and the guy still works for him. Some guy kind of looks like an Elton John from the Sacrifice song. You know that song? Comes out, and he's the guy that would collect all the stuff people would throw up on stage. So he grabbed the album, he grabbed the flowers, and he went backstage with them. And I said, cool. Now, you know, when the concert's over, Billy Joel's gonna say, what was that thing you brought back here? He's gonna say, oh, look at this album, I remember making this. But back then, for some reason, I thought, after he became a solo artist, I thought he had no memory of those days anymore, like they erased. And I thought I was gonna like throw him that album, and he was gonna be like, wow, I forgot I even made this. Who sent this to me? And then he was gonna open up inside, he'd read my name, get my phone number, and literally I thought he was going to call me up the next day. Next day was a Saturday, and I was at home. I stayed home on purpose. You know, back then, you know, no cell phones. You had to stay home if you wanted to get a call or receive it. So every time the phone would ring, no caller ID. Every time the phone would ring, I would get excited. My mother would pick it up, and I was expecting to say, oh, it's for you, give it to me, and I would be like, hello, and they would be like, yeah, hey, how you doing? Billy Joel here. Got that album you threw up on stage yesterday. I appreciate it. How you doing? You want to hang out? That didn't happen. No call. Zero. Goose eggs. To this day, I wait. Just for nostalgic reasons now. I'm stuck in nostalgia sometimes. But I would have really appreciated it if the artist called the fan. That would have been, for me, awesome. You know, I was such a fan of, like, it's crazy. It would be like the, you know, I don't know, like something like Elvis calling, you know, who's a big fan of Elvis out there? Nicolas Cage, I don't know. You know, for me, it was like this awesome power, Billy Joel, and anything he did was like something I had to know about. So working on an album, where is he? What's he doing? Where he goes on vacation? Was he, you know, vacationing? Things like that. But I was more concerned about new material. I was always wondering, is he working on something? Is he sitting there writing something out? You know, very fascinating. And when I would turn the album over, it would say written by, or words and music by Billy Joel. That would fascinate me. I pictured him in some lonely room area there, just brainstorming and coming up with these ideas and putting them to music and then making an album. But like I said, never called me. I was very disappointed for a very long time. I was like, hey, he didn't call me. I did all that work. I got the tickets. I got the second row. I made it to the stage. I snuck the album in. I threw it up on stage. I had it all planned out. And my plan happened the way I came up with it. Okay, everything happened. Except the part where he called me back. Didn't call me back. Even today, I would appreciate it, you know, if he ever got a hold of this video and he said, hey, you know what, let me give him a call, or let me notify him on his channel, say hello to him. You know, I would do that. I'm telling you, if I were a rock and roll star or whatever, you know, and somebody was a huge fan like that, and they left me like a number or something, or for example, let's say I owned a dry cleaners, and Billy Joel, say I was Billy Joel, no, let's say somebody owned a dry cleaners, and I was a rock star, like Billy Joel, say, and they were a huge fan of mine, or mine's, right? A huge fan. And then I brought my suit there, and they recognized me, and then I went and picked up my suit. They didn't say anything. I went to the fireman's ball, I put the suit on, I put my hand in the pocket, and I pulled out a little note that said, hey, I'm a huge fan of yours. I would like to meet you someday, or at least I'd like to talk to you. And they gave me the number. I would call. I would find that, you know, fascinating. Even for me, I would find that fascinating. I would say, this is a person, he's a fan. Without these people, I would be nothing in terms of the status I've reached, the money I've made. Right? But no, disappointed me. I would have, like I said, I would have called. If that happened to me. I would have been like, holy crap, where'd this person get this album from? And I'll give him a call. Make him feel good. And I'd be like, and I'd be like, hello, hey, this is Billy Joel. How you doing? I got that album. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, you almost hit me with that album. It just missed me by 2 inches. But no problem. If you're a fan, I don't mind it if it hit me. But it never called me. And now the number's no longer the same. It was up until recently. I still had that number. But I don't have it anymore. So if he calls that number, I'm not there. But it'd be funny, you know, because that number up until recent times was still the same number as it was on the album cover. Like if he had it in his room and he said, you know, I'm going to call him now. Keep in mind, I did this in 89. I think it was December 89. So it's a lot of years ago. It was like 1930, 35 years back. Long time. So, yeah, that's how it happened. And of course, the Turnstiles album. That's a good album. A lot of, it's only got like 8 songs, I think. 8 songs, but they're all good. I remember I worked for a while at Haberdashery. Love Haberdashery. Love the whole department. And that was the time when I got into that album. That was a 2-month period where I got into the Turnstiles album, and the song James was being played a lot by me during that period of time, James. And when I hear that song James now, it brings me back to my days working at the Haberdashery. Right? But that album is very successful in terms of live play. He plays a lot of those songs. If you go to the album and look at it, most of those songs he plays live even now. So, oh, I forgot to mention The Stranger. Great album. I was in the car one time with my mother driving. I was in the Italian section of town, and all of a sudden, Moving Out, the song Moving Out, Anthony's song came on. And I go, oh, that sounds like Billy Joel's voice. I go, what song is this? This is a cool song. Never heard it before. And I had to go and, you know, I went to the record store and I'm going through the albums and I see Moving Out and I go, I got to get this album. That is a great album. That's his breakthrough album. Moving Out is on there. Just the Way You Are, She's Always a Woman. Love Vienna. Vienna's a good tune. Everybody Has a Dream, Get It Right the First Time. The Stranger is on there. I love The Stranger. I love that whistle, the intro. And then if you go to the end of the album, you can hear the entire thing, much longer version. But I love that intro to The Stranger. What else do we have on that? Did I name them all? Did I miss one? Oh, I did miss something very obvious. Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Good tune. Does that all the time live. I don't think I've ever seen a concert that he didn't do that in. You know, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. But yeah, it's a good album. Good album, good photography there. He's the backside, the restaurant there, they're all there. Inside, he's like on a bed. Got the mask, the stranger thing. I think there's boxing gloves in there somewhere. And then we had the new release that was released after I had done all that listening to, which was The Bridge. I like The Bridge. He craps on it. I'm not a fan of the way he, like, that's his style. Likes to crap on things that are his. Like, you know, it's like, okay, you're a critic, you're going to say something bad about that? I'm going to say it first. That way I defuse the situation. That's why he does it, right? Don't know for sure, but it just sounds that way. I wouldn't keep crapping on this stuff. He always craps on that album. I think it's a pretty good album. Big Man on Mulberry Street, good tune. This Is the Time, Matter of Trust. I happen to like or love on that album, my favorite song, Running on Ice. I first heard that, thought that was going to be a single. I go, that's a hit. It was not. Ray Charles, Baby Grand, they released that song. It wasn't close to being as good as Running on Ice, but they released that. So that he used to do a lot. When I would see him live in the old days, did that a lot. That Steve Winwood thing there, Getting Closer, I like that tune. The Cyndi Lauper song that he co-wrote. She probably did like 3 words on that. Code of Silence, I like that. Temptation is on there, about his daughter. It's like that, you know, when they're babies, you know, you don't want to spend any time away from them. You want to be there. But yeah, I like the album. Good album all around. The album I did not appreciate, did not really like, was the River of Dreams album. It just did not sound to me like a Billy Joel album. It didn't have the same feel, the same reasons that I like the other albums did not exist on this. So yeah, disappointed with that. And I happened to be his last one, and he kind of left me on a down note on that one. Did not like that album. But Stormfront I liked a lot. I liked State of Grace. Was not a single, but I really enjoyed that song. One of my favorite songs, State of Grace. That's Not Her Style is on there. We Didn't Start the Fight, Down Easter Alexa. I Go to Extremes. What's that song called there? The Leningrad song is on there. You know, that's the song. I thought the entire album, after he returned from Russia, I thought every song was going to be about his experience in Russia. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought every song, 10 songs, all about Russia, was going to be the theme, Russia. But it wasn't. It was basically Leningrad was about Russia. What else do we have on that? And So It Goes is on there, written in '83 for the Innocent Man project, but did not end up being on that one because it did not sound like a song from the 50s or early 60s. So they kept that and they put it on the Stormfront album. The song Stormfront, I'm a big fan of that. I like that tune. Low Pressure System, Northeast Breeze, Fallen Barometer, and Rising Seas. What else do we have? Down Easter Alexa, though, the accordion on that and the violin, Perlman, awesome. Love that tune. I mean, he could really, you know, put good tunes together, and then something happened. Something happened. He lost that ability. He lost it. I mean, he says, yeah, he didn't want to put out, but he lost it. He tried to write some things, and they just were not that good. You know, did not like that All My Life. What that song he did there? Sounds like a Frank Sinatra song. Didn't like that one. And then the other one he did, that Christmas in Fallujah one, did not like that at all. Just sounded different. It sounded, the quality was not the same anymore. So that's the main reason why he stopped. And I don't know what happened. There's a lot of people that get older and they write, you know, a little bit different style or maybe the same style, but you know, for some reason he lost that. He lost it. So anyway, but I did appreciate that he did put out a brand new tune, Turn the Lights Back On. I liked it. Got up early that morning to hear it. When they released it, I was up. Came downstairs, typed it in. I heard it and I said, that's a good tune. Good tune. I was hoping though that he had a whole album, brand new material, kind of like secretly working on something, like Eddie and the Cruisers get together and you know they release something. Big fan of that Eddie Wilson, the whole story. Anyway, I'm being pinged. Anyway, so that's it. Good soap. If you want to get really clean, pick up this soap here. I don't know. I mean, this is what it says. Just freeze the screen and you could read it better. Yeah. It's like an old-fashioned smelling soap. You don't smell this and go, it smells like roses. No, that's not what it smells like. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.